Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is October and this is Nerd Boy Reads. If you're new around here, welcome. If not, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a kind of new video. I don't know if anyone else had this idea, but I decided to record one because I liked the idea. There's this TikTok audio going around on Bookstagram. I don't know if it's on Booktok because I don't have a TikTok, but I definitely seen it on Instagram Reels, and it is the if you have to pick 5 books to define your taste in reading, what would they be? And I like that audio, but no one really explains why they chose it. Not to shit on anyone doing it. I am glad to see your taste in reading, and I'm glad to see people reading in general. However, I decided to expand on that and tell you why I read the way I do. So I'm going to be using this inspiration, the 5 books to define your reading taste, and I'm going to be explaining the books that I've chosen in a bit of detail. First, we have an honorable mention, and that is The Stranger by Albert Camus. I picked this up first when I was in middle school, when we had free time in computer lab, if anyone remembers that. God, back in my day. Had computer lab some days, and once we finished the assignments that we were given, we were allowed to, freely roam with the computer within reason. And what I did with my free time is I found free books to read online, and one of them was this, The Stranger by Albert Camus. I don't remember much about it because, like I said, it was middle school era when I read this, but I do remember really enjoying the main character because he wasn't like any of the main characters that I read before. He was completely disconnected from what happened to him, what was happening to him, what he was going through, why he moved the way he did, and that just fascinated me. I don't know if I ever actually finished this, and I haven't reread it since. I just picked this up because it struck me when we were assigned The Plague by Albert Camus, because once things started happening, everything had to be surrounded in disease and whatnot. But either way, he was one of the main authors that I really gravitated to. So once I was able to, I remembered that this book was a thing, and I finally picked it up. So you're going to be seeing this again in my July haul, and I hope to be reading it soon. I may bring it with me, because I'm flying through my TBR right now. I may bring this with me as one of the bonus books that I read in Nebraska, so be on the lookout for it. But this book really holds a special place in my heart because of the character. It really showed me new ways that characters could behave, how he just kind of got pushed along with what was going on without really a care in the world. Well, he had cares, I think. Again, it's been a long time. I just remember that he was very disconnected. He didn't care about anything, and that really fascinated me about him as a character. So I can't wait to pick this up again and read it, but it is an honorable mention because it influenced a lot of how I myself wrote characters, since I'm an English major, and how I developed them and all that good stuff. So honorable mention goes to The Stranger. Next, we are getting into the main 5 books that define my reading taste. The first one of these is probably one of my more recent favorites, and that is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is the first book by V.E. Schwab that I have ever read. It really solidified her to me as an author that I would follow to the ends of the earth. No matter what she writes, I would read it, and more than likely, I would love it. I enjoyed the dual timeline perspective. That really solidified my also enjoyment of the dual timeline perspective. I loved the friends to enemies trope in here, and then later down the line, it's enemies to mutual. They have enemies to mutual enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. God, did that make any sense? It is not a major trend. Well, it was kind of a major trend early last year, and it's still coming into this year, but I really enjoyed the dark superhero trope that's in here. I enjoyed the origin story. I enjoyed the found family aspects of this book. So all of these things that I list, all these tropes that I've listed are tropes that I've enjoyed coming from this book in particular, which really solidified them for me as some favorite tropes. Old man adopts child and becomes kinda soft. I just love it so much. If I had to save books from a fire, that's another video I might do because I saw someone else do it, books I'd save in a fire. This would definitely be one of them, although I am looking for different covers because while I love this cover, there are way better covers out there. I like the white one. If you know, you know. Like I said, this book really solidified V.E. Schwab as a favorite author to me, and I have picked up a vast majority of her work. The only things that I am on the hunt for are the Vault trilogy. I think that's a trilogy. And then This Savage Song companion, or the second book in the This Savage Song, Our Dark Duet. I'm looking for Our Dark Duet, long story short. Continue to pick up her works. I am aware of the people, for those of you who are gonna comment and say V.E. Schwab has problems with representation in her books, I understand. I notice it. However, I can't even explain it. I love her books. I do understand. I really do. I'm black. I'm gay. I understand all of the problems that are being picked up and passed around because of V.E. Schwab as an author. Her lack of representation, I believe, is the main one that I hear people talking about. But she is getting better, I believe. She maybe later down the line. I know. I'm making excuses, but I love her so much that I would do that. I love this book. I love a majority of her books. Her first one was kind of iffy for me, but I enjoy Vicious as a book, and you will have to pry it from my cold dead hands. I'm really looking forward. There's a third one coming out. The final one is coming out. I believe it's next year, so I'm definitely going to pick it up, and I'm definitely on the lookout. I love this book so much. I'm sorry for rambling. Kind of. This next one is the book that has solidified my love for retellings, and it's the first retelling that I have ever read, and that is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies by Jane Austen and Seth Grahame-Smith. This is I believe it's the 10th anniversary edition. Whatever anniversary edition this is it. I read this when the movie was coming out because I liked the trailer and I liked the vibes I was getting from it, and I've been meaning to pick up Pride and Prejudice anyway because I did read it back in middle school. However, this one has become quickly a favorite. I enjoy the gruesomeness. I enjoyed the violence. I enjoyed how the characters remain the same as they did, like they translated well from Pride and Prejudice to Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I enjoyed the atmosphere, the ye olden English, the slow burn romance, with all while fighting zombies, and this really solidified me and my love of retellings. This showed me the potential of what a retelling can be, and especially in the Pride and Prejudice world. This is the first Pride and Prejudice retelling that I've read. The second one I just read was Pride and Premeditation from the Jane Austen murder mystery trilogy that's coming out, I think. Sense and Second Degree just came out, so I'm planning on picking that up later. But this book was great. I forgot to explain what Vicious was, so I'm probably not going to explain what Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is. But from the title, you can guess what it's about. This is the book that solidified, like I said, my love for retellings. I pick up all of the Pride and Prejudice retellings now because they are so good, and I just read Pride and Prejudice, so I have the authority to do that, I guess. So, yeah. Next is one that I've mentioned briefly in my... When did I mention it? Earlier in the year. My favorites, I think, in my mid-year wrap-up, and that is Johannes Cabal, specifically the series. Like, the Johannes Cabal series in general is one of the key bases of what I read. I have pushed this book on literally everyone I know, and I love it so much. It's a bastard of a man going around creating problems and then getting surprised when he has to deal with consequences. That's essentially the series, and I love that about it. It's fun. The humor actually makes me laugh. Like, I crack up so much reading this book, and I love the mixture of humor and drama and humanness mixed with non-humanness. It's so good. I don't know how else to describe it. If I had to pick one that defines my taste, it's definitely Johannes Cabal series. It kind of fits with the theme of I pick up a lot of books that not a lot of people talk about. Yes, I do have my fair share of things I pick up from the internet, be it from Bookstagram or Booktube. I don't have a TikTok, so I can't say Booktok, but it makes its way around to wherever it is, so probably that too. But I also gravitate more towards the lesser known, the quieter series, and this is definitely one of them. I feel like if I was talking to my friend about it, and I said that if Booktok was around in the time that this book was being published, it definitely would be a favorite of the area because of the main character, and that scares me. He it's such a good book. More people need to talk about it, but they don't. It's so quiet, it's lesser known, and that also really defines my taste of lesser known books. So that's why I picked Johannes Cabal, the necromancer. Well, the series. I'll figure it out later. I'll figure out what I mean by this. In my notes, because I wrote notes to be a bit more scripted, but who knows how this is going to turn out. That this is an amalgamation of all of the books that I have picked, so I guess I meant to put this last. It's kind of spooky, it's hilarious, it has my favorite tropes in it, it has my favorite types of characters in it, it has drama, magic, bastardry, generalized bastardry. It's so good, and that's why it's definitely an amalgamation of all the books that I have read, well, on this list. That's what I meant to say, on this list. We're gonna go with that. Like I said, I do have books that I pick up because of the internet, and one of those is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrix has slipped into being one of my favorite authors. I have picked up a majority of his books. The only one that I am missing is Paperbacks from Hell, but I have all of his books published so far, except... No, I do. I have all of his books published. I just haven't read Final Girl Support Group. I just picked up Southern Final Girl Support Group, so spoiler alert for my July haul. But this one is my favorite because it defines horror for me now. Like, there's so much tension in this book. There's psychological warfare, I feel like. There's gaslighting, gatekeeping, and girl bossing, but mostly the gaslighting part. There is things that make my skin crawl, like all of Grady Hendrix's book. He has a problem with getting under my skin and just making me viscerally uncomfortable, and that's what I like in horror, and this has kind of raised the bar for horror for me because I need that. I need to be able to, I need the feeling of needing to put the book down to collect myself before I go forward. I need the feeling of like claustrophobia and this under the skin wiggling that just comes with this book. And if it doesn't have a majority of that, then I probably won't, get scared for it. But this is a really good book. I'm actually going to tell you what this is about now. Like it says, the Southern Book Club's Guide for Slaying Vampires is about this group of housewives who form a book club and they talk about books, and a mysterious stranger moves into the neighborhood after his aunt gets sick, and it turns out he is a vampire. End statement. I can't tell you much more about it. I think my summary of why it messes me up so bad is probably a good indication of what you need to know about getting into it. Trigger warnings for gaslighting and sexual assault and, suspicions of sexual assault, if any of that. And a lot of misogyny. It's the, 50s, so... What year is it? 80s. It's the 80s. Sorry. But the misogyny is still running really high in this book. It's palpable. It's uncomfortable. It's get under your skin. It makes you angry. It's so good. And that's why it defines my tastes in horror now. And finally, to wrap up the why I love retellings and why I love books that are so, underappreciated and under-talked about, it is Warlock Homes by G.S. Denning. I would apologize for the condition of my cover, but you can hardly see it, but this corner is gone because I loaned it to a friend, and I think they let their cat eat it, so thanks for that. But Warlock Homes is my first official Sherlock Holmes retelling. This is the reason why I love Sherlock Holmes retelling so much, despite never reading Sherlock Holmes. I'm getting on it. I promise I am. One day you will see Sherlock Holmes on this list. But for now, Warlock Homes is a retelling told through John Watson's journals as he explores the magical underbelly of London with his companion Warlock Holmes, who is an idiot. Warlock Holmes is such an idiot in this book. He is nothing like the charismatic, smart, knowledgeable detective of the original Sherlock Holmes series, which I think is why I like this book so much. My mom is actually the one who pointed this series out to me, and I loved it so much that I continued on with it. There are 5 books in this series currently. I should probably have told you. Johannes Cabal also has 5 books in the series, but that's complete. I think this may get another one in the future, because if you know why Sherlock Holmes went on hiatus initially, well, it's not a spoiler, everyone knows Sherlock Holmes. The finality problem ends with Sherlock Holmes going over Reichenbach Falls, and I'm assuming that means that we're going to get another one down the line, because we all know that Sherlock Holmes eventually came back due to fanfare, but this one doesn't have a lot of fanfare around it. It's a retelling that's really quiet. I feel like a lot of people would enjoy this series if they picked it up, but not a lot of people do. So I still have hopes that it's going to come out in the future. I just need more people to read it because I need more people to talk about it. It's so funny. I remember reading this in the... I originally picked up these series specifically because I was in Nebraska. Like, surprise, surprise, a lot of reading happens in Nebraska. There's not a lot to do. And I devoured them, not only because there's not a lot to do in Nebraska, but because I love them so much. I enjoyed the character interactions, the mystery, the magical elements woven in and how they are explained. I enjoyed everything about this series, except it's on hiatus right now. It's so good. I don't know what else to say about it without spoiling. I'm pretty sure it follows a lot of the original Sherlock Holmes mysteries. But again, I haven't read Sherlock Holmes. I recognize some titles, so maybe they're pretty accurate, but mostly it's just a magical retelling with Sherlock Holmes being an idiot, and that's what makes it fun. This is why I love Sherlock Holmes retelling so much, and why I now have a dedicated Sherlock Holmes retelling shelf on my shelf, because I pick them up so much. Although I am willing to admit I haven't read a lot of the ones that I've picked up, but I am working on it. I think I'm gonna pick them up soon, especially because I did pick up more in July. So again, spoiler for my July haul. But I am gonna read a lot more Sherlock Holmes retellings thanks to this book. This sparked my love for it. That's why I have so many retellings now of Sherlock Holmes. One day I'll read them. I'm gonna read them. Maybe I'll pick one up after I finish my TBR for July, because I don't have a lot left on my TBR because I'm reading them, and then again, Nebraska's gonna get a lot of reading time done, so who knows? Well, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for listening to my explanations. Hopefully I put some new books, well, not new books, some new books... Hopefully I put some books on your radar so you can pick them up. If you do, let me know how you think about them. If you've read them before, let me know what you think about them. And if you just want to talk about what books you think define your reading taste, go for it. I don't know if I'm supposed to tag anyone, but I'm not going to. If you just feel like making a video, make a video. It's really fun. Pick 5 books and explain why they define your taste. I challenge you. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. I have been October. Bye!